We are back with another great episode of the Sick Podcast Steeler Crazy. And man, Omar Khan strikes again. Never a doubt. A lot to talk about and touch on. I am Jay York Football, as always, alongside of me, Mic'd Up Sports One. One word to describe Steelers free agency so far.
Confusing.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Shane, run it, and we'll get to it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Aaron Smith shields. Flacco. Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
There you have it. Confusing, to say the least. Well, let's just jump right into it with I think the biggest signing is DK Metcalf, 5-year deal. Darius Slay, I think it brings some mentorship. I think he's still got some gas left in the tank. And obviously, Najee's, that was kind of a no-brainer. I kind of figured that they weren't going to go that route. And yeah, our guy Larry Ogunjobi, wish him the best. But yeah, man, this is going to be like a whole new team. And we still don't know who quarterback is unless there's breaking news when we're on here. But yeah, to say the least, it's been a wild one, very confusing. I don't really know the direction this team is going, but I like it and I'm confused at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can rewind to Sunday night. I'm literally sitting in the shower with NFL Network on, and I hear the breaking news that the Steelers have traded for DK Metcalf. I turned the shower off halfway through, jumped out, got on my phone. They wanted us to go live, and I was like, guys, I don't even have pants on right now. And I guess metaphorically they were off too, because I was absolutely pumped about the DK Metcalf trade. It's what the Steelers have been looking for years.
Yeah.
A top flight wide receiver to pair with George Pickens. They tried Ayuk last year. We heard rumors about Debo, Cooper Kupp, who wouldn't have, filled that prime receiver role. But DK, I think, was the best receiver on the entire market.
Yeah.
Via trade. Free agency included as well. So that's Sunday, right? Everybody's hype, energized, going into what the craziness of free agency is on Monday. And then what the hell has happened since, right? You hear they're going to sign Darius Slay, sure, 34-year-old corner. I don't mind him. I think he has some gas left in the tank. But you go into Monday needing a quarterback, a defensive lineman, a running back, a cornerback, and hell, maybe another receiver. And you leave just down a defensive lineman and maybe add a corner. So you go in with all these needs and you really just cancel it out because you lose a defensive lineman in Ogunjobi and you grab a corner in Slay. And the pickings are slim right now, bro. Obviously, the quarterback position is the main point. And I think Aaron Rodgers is holding the Steelers hostage right now. We'll obviously talk about our opinion on potentially him coming to the black and gold. I think he is at a point where he's like, I want a team to come to me and get on their hands and knees and beg for me, because that feels like the most Aaron Rodgers thing that could happen right now. And that's why he hasn't been signed to the Steelers, Giants, or any other team yet. And that's why I don't think he's going to sign anytime soon. So I have no idea when we're going to find out if it's Russ or Aaron or somebody else taking snaps and throwing to DK Metcalf this year, bro.
Yeah, and I'll just give my take. I've been waiting for this all day. I was ecstatic when I found out that they weren't signing Justin Fields. And I know Justin Fields is a great person and a great teammate, but I will say this. He has done absolutely nothing to prove himself. And here's why. Okay, $40 million, dude, his agent might be the best in the game. And I know that the Jets, are the Jets and the Browns are the Browns as they just signed Kenny Pickett. I feel like I'm living in like a fantasy world right now with the way the NFL free agency has gone so far. And this is why I say, and I still stand by, sign Russell Wilson. Okay. He knows what team, and you give me your chance on this. Look at the teams that when we ended the season, what did we play? We played the Bengals. We played Baltimore twice. and we played the two teams that are in the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl champion Eagles. Was it his best performance? No, but you put any quarterback up against those teams, and it's so funny. I see the talking heads on Twitter always talking, Russell Wilson, this and that. Like, to me, if you give Russell Wilson some weapons, as the Steelers just did with Metcalf, I think that you run it back if it doesn't work out, 2026 draft quarterback wise is looking a lot better than what it is this year. And even if you get Jackson Dart, so that's where I'm at right now. I'm totally out on the Aaron Rodgers thing. I just think we talked about it on previous podcasts. It's going to be a circus. I don't care what his off the field stuff is. I'm talking about you're bringing in a guy who he might have a little bit and showed spurts, like you said, that he could still be a good quarterback. But I just think the bad outweighs the good. I just say bring Russell Wilson back and see what we can do. That's just my opinion. And I just think people are way, way too in over their head on this, wanting it. I'm glad that Justin Fields is with the New York Jets. I wish him the best of luck, but he hasn't done a single thing to prove that he deserves that type of contract.
Yeah, I mean, we disagreed on this for over a year. So, I mean, it's probably not going to change. One, you're right in terms of $20 million being too much for Justin Fields, given the context of, his handful of years in the NFL. You're right. He does still have that ambiguity, right? And that who knows what he is going to become. But I still tend to disagree with your point in regard to Russ, because I do see what he was, right? And there is no, for me, like upside or what could he become. Yeah, as your point about DK Metcalf not being there, fair, absolutely. His weapons suck. There's no question.
Yeah, I mean,
that. But I still don't think they can beat the teams that you mentioned with Russ. So I don't think it matters. They still have to beat Kansas City and Baltimore and Buffalo and Philadelphia, potentially, if they were to get to a Super Bowl, like that would ever happen at this point. Listen, long and short, the Steelers are in a sucky position, right? They're once again in purgatory, exactly where they have been for the last few years. There wasn't a quarterback on this market, whether it be Fields, Wilson, Rodgers, anybody else, Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, who's still out there, anybody you throw out there, that would win the AFC, right? But it's not so much a this year problem as it has been the last handful of year problem. They never really addressed this position properly, going back to Kenny Pickett. And they pigeonholed themselves into Pickett. And when he didn't work out, they were absolutely fucked, and they decided not to rebuild, right? They said, hey, we still want to pay Cam. We're going to keep Minka. We're going to keep Ogunjobi. You want to keep all these aging players, right, and bring in a Russell Wilson. It didn't work. So something needs to change. You're going to bring in a Rodgers. You're going to win 10 games again. You're going to bring Russ back and whatever. If you get to 11, you're going to lose in the first round of the playoffs again. I am now at a point where I'm kind of with you. I'm kind of on draft a quarterback, right? Yeah. Like at this point, what can it hurt? It's even if it's a dart throw, so to speak. That's why I'm on board with bringing a Joe Milton in, because they're not going to win with Rodgers or Russ. It's just, for me, at the end of the day, that's fairly obvious.
Yeah.
And why not go with an upside play?
And I do agree with that to some extent too, but I just think that bringing in another quarterback to learn the system, at least Russell Wilson was there, has the chemistry. At least maybe there's a little bit more upside than bringing in and starting it all over again, because I really think bringing in Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be that much of a difference, or could be a catastrophe, or could be what the Steelers need. They hit rock bottom and say, hey, guess what? It's actually time to rebuild. It's time to get a new head coach. It's time to just, hey, I know we don't what do they call it? Reload or whatever they call it.
Essentially, but they won't tank. They won't. No team wants to tank, but they sometimes secretly should tank.
You know how we both feel about Big Ben, and it honestly makes me smile, because everyone was they didn't cherish what we had with Big Ben. We had a Hall of Fame quarterback, and ever since he left, we cannot figure it out. And that just goes to show you, we say it time and time again, it's like beating a dead horse. Quarterback, you have to have a good quarterback in this league to win. It's one of the most important positions of all of sports. And until you have that, I mean, you could get there with a mediocre quarterback and an excellent defense. which we do have an excellent defense at times, but in the times that it needed to show up, it didn't, and it didn't combat well with the quarterback play. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I just feel like I want to be optimistic again, but it's like at this point, you said it right off the jump in this podcast. It's confusing. I mean, I don't know what the right.
I'll go back to Russ really quickly. I mean, I'm hearing through the grapevine that he's got dead arm, that he straight up did not throw the last handful of weeks of the regular season in practice because his arm, quite frankly, was falling apart. Now, there's got to also be a little bit of confusion around what's going on with him. Would you agree? Because I don't think he played that badly last year. Right? I don't think he was this
with the weapons that he had.
Somebody put up the stats, right, comparing him to Rodgers. I think it was Mike DeFabo, and Wilson pretty much led in every single category, right? So his play was not that bad. His leadership may be a little cheesy at the end of the day, but if you watch Hard Knocks and you listen to Mike Tomlin and a lot of guys on the team, he was a leader. He was well-respected in the locker room. Tomlin entrusted him and really liked him a lot. With those things said, there doesn't seem to be any interest in bringing him back. And the fact that you're considering a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who would probably come in here and want to be the GM and the head coach and the offensive coordinator and probably play a wide receiver all in one, instead of the guy who already knows the system, who Mike Tomlin loves, who some of the players did mesh with at probably a cheaper price point. There's something funky going on with Russ right now. And guess what? No other team has signed him, right? It's not just the Steelers. You have quarterbacks being signed left and right, only a couple left, and apparently Russ is the odd man out. So I think there's something deeper there. I think maybe teams are starting to find out physically he's breaking down a little bit, which is ironic because if you want to bring in a guy like Aaron Rodgers, he's going to be 42 years old. You talk about physically breaking down, which is why I wanted youth, and I still want youth. And it probably won't matter anyways for this Hayward-Watt group that they want to get a ring, but at least we can enjoy it and feel better about the future.
Yeah.
Just having another stopgap.
In my whole thing, I'll ask you this. Like, do you think that the Steelers realistically think they're that close to making a Super Bowl run with getting a guy like Aaron Rodgers? Like, I mean,
yeah.
I know at times last year when we were riding high and winning, I was like, yeah, but it all came falling down.
I think they are deathly afraid to have one bad season. Deathly afraid because people are already turning on Tomlin. Fans are angry. This team obviously has veterans like Cam Hayward and TJ Watt who will not stand for like a 5-12 season. But there are so many benefits to having one bad season. And the number one benefit, as you know, is a high draft pick. And what do you get with a high draft pick generally? The opportunity to get a good quarterback. What have the Steelers not had in, 20 years? A high draft pick. The last time they drafted was Big Ben at, pick 11 was the last time they had that high of a draft pick. So it's so beneficial to be bad for a year. They'll never do it. They're deathly afraid to lose. They are perfectly content being 9-8, 10-7, getting in the playoffs and saying, hey, we had a shot, but we blew it. Next year will be different. And better than anybody, it has not been different. And it probably won't be different again this year.
I mean, I just don't know how long they can continue. And if they do, like you said, it's going to be another 10-7 season. And then what? Then it's like, I just feel like you
and
said,
then you take yourself out of the running for a quarterback again. Probably.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just don't understand what their obsession with older quarterbacks are. I think me personally, if I was being realistic, I just think it's time to rebuild at this point. I mean, even if it's 2 or 3 years where we have to struggle and win 5 games, 6 games, and maybe be around 500 to get those draft picks and build for the future. Because even if we re-sign Russ, if we definitely bring in Aaron Rodgers, I'm talking a 1-year window, maybe a 2-year window with Russ, if that. So, I mean, realistically, I think it's time to rebuild, but they don't see it that way. And unfortunately, we're not the GM. And It's it's confusing. You nailed it on the head with that one, because I want to know, and I know that we're never going to know what's going on in that room, but I hope that that they do hear the fan base, and because there's a lot of unhappy people, and I'm sure there's some unhappy people in the locker room. You said it. You have guys like T.J. Watt, Cam. Those two guys deserve a Super Bowl. I don't want to say they deserve a Super Bowl because you have to earn a Super Bowl, but they've been, Steelers through and through, and they're not getting any younger. So
they're feeling immense pressure to win. I understand it. We're all putting that pressure on them as well, as we should. They have not been able to right their wrongs post Ben Roethlisberger. So this has been a ongoing problem. This isn't a 2025 offseason problem. It's not even a 2024 offseason problem. This is a ongoing issue for 4 years. They also probably stuck with Kenny a little bit too long. Even though it was 2 seasons, sometimes you have to take a step back and evaluate what you have. And he was never going to win a Super Bowl in the black and gold. But listen, at the end of the day, we're in purgatory. You're either all in or you're all out. They'll never ever admit that they want to be all out. But
yeah.
If I were to say I fired up Madden, right, and you said, hey Mike, you can be the GM for a season here, I would have tore it down. I probably would have traded TJ Watt and Cam Hayward, even though it tugs at the heartstrings, get a shit ton of picks back, and
I still
get a young
stand by
quarterback and get a young quarterback and rebuild this thing. And I would tell the fan base, hey, just be transparent for once. Come out and say, we didn't feel like we were winning a Super Bowl with this team. We trust Tomlin. We trust management. We trust the pieces around us. Let's get back to that standard. Use that word. Just keep pushing that word, right? Because let's get back to that standard acknowledges that you're not there right now. And that's just something they haven't done. And I do think it may earn a little bit of respect from the folks who follow the Steelers, who might actually say, okay, they're not trying to be 10-7 for the next 3 years. They're trying to be a Super Bowl contender in 2 or 3 years, right? And it's the only feasible solution right now. It's unfortunate, but it's where we're at.
Yeah, and I still stand by. I know Cam's a great guy on and off the field, but I would have never gave him that contract once again. Not just for the fact that we could have used that money elsewhere, like you said. And it does sound crazy and far-fetched. And, TJ Watt is a generational talent. But like you said, what you can get for him, if you're not going to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 or 3 years, it would definitely be worth at least exploring trade options. So
I'll say this. You don't give him that contract if you don't give him a winning team. Exactly. I think those two things
it's a waste.
Can go hand in hand, right? On one side, he's a phenomenal player who deserves the money in the contract, but on the other side, it is wasting away. You're absolutely right. It is wasting away. He's better off. Steelers are better off having a 2nd-round pick and him playing for a contender in, Buffalo or whatever, what may have it, because they are wasting the end of these guys' career. It's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully, by the next time we do a podcast, we'll know who the QB for the 2020.
I don't know if we'll have a quarterback. I don't know. Skylar Thompson season. Let's go.
I don't know. I'm hearing everything under the sun at this point. There was a report now that Mason Rudolph, wants to come back as a backup. At this point, I'm like, I don't know. Our friend Amanda Vance was jokingly tweeted, I throw this guy's hat in the ring, Terry Bradshaw. At this point, it's just like, I don't know. Like I said, choose your sources wisely. I forget someone I retweeted that. I thought that was kind of funny. It was one of the Steeler reporters. I can't remember who, but
Big Ben would be like the second quarterback option for the Steelers right now, and it's like something you laugh.
You get a line to protect them.
You laugh about it at the dinner table, family, but maybe it's actually true. Which is, hey, that's it. That's the reality. That's why I bring me Aaron Rodgers, because if you're gonna go down in flames, let's at least make it fun.
Yeah, at this point, I hate to say this too, and obviously I want the Steelers to win the Super Bowl every year. I don't root against them, but man, to really make a real change, I think that they need to have like a 4 or 5 win season. And that's when, like you said, like you're just going to keep people. It's almost like, I hate to use this analogy, but I think it's good. It's almost like the Pirates. They keep you engaged until like the All-Star break, and then just second half of the season, just shit the bed. The Steelers, they get that hot start just like this year, and then just end of the season, just shit the bed.
Yeah, maybe Omar Khan needs to talk to Kyle Dubas right now, because he's taken a lot of shit for what he's done for the Penguins over the past handful of years, but at least he put a little bit of effort into actually tanking this season and saying, hey, let's, instead of, trying to make a late wild card push just to lose in the first round, let's stack some draft picks. And I think they have like 30 draft picks in the next 3 years. Gino and Letang are going to be done soon. I know we're getting way off track right now, but it's a Pittsburgh example of a team essentially acknowledging that, like, hey, we're stuck in the mud. Pirates have been stuck in the mud for pretty much every year that we've known life, except our favorite 3-4 years of sports there in the 2009,
blackout.
13. Yeah, man. But maybe Omar Khan should pick up the phone and call Kyle Dubas right now and take his advice, or at least, take a good hard look in the mirror.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Well, hey, it's been great hanging out with everyone. Love doing these lives. Like I said, a lot of question marks, very confusing, but we're here to break it down and give our opinions. Going to be back next week with some great guests. Might hop on here with some breaking news later this week. You never know. Stay locked. Make sure you subscribe. I am Jay York Football, Mic'd Up Sports 1. Another great episode of the Sick Podcast, Steeler Crazy. Win or lose, it's black and gold until we die. So,
yep, that's facts. Thanks, Shane.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.